Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Jose Suarez. It's been a while since I've recorded anything for my personal YouTube channel. I've been busy with the MHQ podcast channel for the BattleTech local podcasts that we do in Tampa. And today I have Jonathan Colton. How you doing today, Jonathan?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. Always glad to have a fellow BattleTech player with me on these chats. There's a picture that I've been using for these interviews. I'm starting with the 7 people, I'm not including myself, obviously, that were there that one particular day, which I believe was the first time ever you played Alpha Strike.
Yeah.
Or BattleTech in general.
Other than video games, yes.
Yeah.
First tabletop experience.
Okay, yeah. And obviously you enjoyed it because you've come back and you've played in the 350 format. You've played regular BattleTech games with a bunch of people, and even the campaign setting that Randall came up with locally for us as well. And not to tout you, but I think you're the most experienced 350 player, having participated in the when the Wolfnet came down to St. Pete and ran their tournament 2 years ago. And then 3rd place at Crucible last year, 7th place at LVO in Vegas in January, and most recently 2nd place at Crucible this year. So you got more street cred than the rest of us do here in Tampa on the 350 format. And I also know we've played each other a couple times on the campaign. I've yet to run against a mercenary force you've built, but you've definitely run against my mercenary forces twice. And the last time you gave me one heck of a battle, I was literally one mech from having to roll a morale check, and I would have probably failed and lost the battle. And it was literally that close of between victory and defeat. So I want to commend you for that battle there. It was phenomenal.
That was a good game.
Yeah, I'm just glad that you couldn't bring your entire force into the fight, because that 2 stars and a star of elementals was brutal. Totally brutal. Okay, folks. Now, I'm going to let Jonathan talk about his experiences at the various conventions that he's gone to pay the 350 format. At least what he remembers. And I'm only going to go back to LVO and the most recent Crucible to keep it fresh in mind. How did you, well, I know you enjoy the 350 format because, like I said, you're practically the subject matter expert for it down here in Florida, as far as in the Tampa Bay area. But how did that event go for you at LVO?
So LVO was like the first time I really traveled for a big tournament for any miniature game I played. So I was very nervous going into it. But the Krolls were amazing. Everybody from Wolfnet, we hung out, had so much fun, got some really nice games in. I wasn't sure what to expect going in. But once I got in, it was like, okay, we're just playing BattleTech, just happened to be at a hotel in Vegas to do it. And I think I went, there was I honestly can't remember if there were 5 or 6 rounds, but I know I only lost a single round against the guy who ended up winning the overall tournament. And
was that the guy with the hell horses?
The Hell's Horses, all battle vehicles list.
Vehicle, except for 2 mechs, dashers, I think.
He had the dashers, but he did not use them in the match against me.
Yeah, that was. I saw the championship game of that one, and that was a brutal game. Hell Horses versus Hell Horses, but it was hysterically funny to watch that. But if that was your only loss, that's a pretty good showing, man.
Yeah. I had, yeah, like I said, it was a lot of fun. Got to see lots of new players. I mean, obviously, living here in Florida, I haven't met any of the other players from around the country before. But they all great guys. We got drunk in the hotel room the night before. They gave lots of swag. I'll have to think of something I can take with me to give to my opponents this year, because I'm definitely going back in. I think it's early February. Is LVO this year?
I'm not sure. As of it stands right now, I'm a no-go for the event, so I haven't been following it that closely. But I can contact the Kroll brothers and find out and post it later. Well, you guys can. You can too. You should be. I mean,
Or no, it's earlier this year, so it's like the second week of January.
okay.
I mean, I've already got my tickets and everything. I'm just off the top of my head can't remember exactly when it is.
Okay. Yeah. Go figure. Well, I want to wish you luck on that one. And then most recently, second place at Crucible in Orlando.
Yeah,
And I wish I could have gone to that one myself, but next year I was actually saving my money to go to Gen Con, and that fell through. So, whatever. Next year, always next year for me.
yeah. So that one's obviously being in Orlando a lot easier to get to. I ended up driving the morning over. That one's a lot of fun too. Wasn't quite as big as the LVO one, but he had the mats all laid out. Rufus has some really nice terrain.
Yeah, I saw the pictures of the battlefields, and they definitely looked like I would have loved playing those.
Yeah, he's got a lot of nice mats. Like one that had like a lava ring, so you had to worry about heat management on some of them.
Yeah. Well, I played a couple
And
games with heat, and good God.
so
That
yeah,
makes it interesting.
yeah, Rufus puts together a nice tournament. A couple of new players there, like people that was their first tournament here at Crucible. I think one of them ended up coming in like 5th or 6th when the first tournament, which was a good showing.
Yeah.
I actually had a friend I played Pathfinder fly down from Chicago, and he ended up coming in 3rd.
Nice.
First time I'd actually met him in person.
Was that someone that's played 350 before?
Mike Doyle, yeah. He's played 350, not down here, but I believe
Okay.
he went to Gen Con.
Okay, good enough. That makes sense. Yeah, there was quite a few people that I remember from our event here at Critical Hit Games when Wolfnet came down 2 years ago that I remember. So, I mean, it looked like an old home, a real fun time would have been with those guys. But like I said, my plans were not conducive to going at that time. Okay, now I want to ask you some questions about the 350 format.
Sure.
What about that format do you like the most? Because you compete, constantly have gotten better at it to the point where I'm not necessarily, if I see you across from me, I'll just concede the heck of the fight and just walk away because I don't think there's a lot of us that maybe Bradley, but Bradley has to be less aggressive, I think, in order to take you on. But yeah, I think definitely 350 is definitely your forte.
So when it comes to miniature games, I've always had trouble separating my competitive instinct from having fun with the game. So I try to do it as much as I can, like when we do the campaigns and everything. But for something like 350, which is designed as a tournament format, it kind of gives me like permission to dive into it and try to play competitively.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I can understand that.
I do enjoy. I mean, Wolfnet has put a lot of thought and practice into the rules, and they are very nice rules for getting some games done quickly in a day or two.
Yeah. Oh, that I agree with. But I also know that from the podcast that they've done after LVO, a lot of questions were brought up about the recon rules and all this kind of stuff. And that's now being brought in. I knew that they tried it out at Gen Con. So I expect changes with that kind of stuff being added to the 350 format, which could make it even more interesting all the way around.
Oh, definitely. Because,
Yeah.
like I said, I go for competitive things. So I see some mechs and it's like, oh, I'm not going to pay the PV for probe and recon if I don't have to. Why would I hamstring myself like that?
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking, that the people that took them there, that could have been another unit that Jay could have brought.
Yeah,
that might have
exactly.
been helpful elsewhere. So I didn't understand why they would do that. But then again, you guys were playing Ill Clan era. I think it was.
It was any era, and all my lists so far have basically been Ill Clan.
Okay. All right.
Although I'll have to fix that for LVO this year because they announced it's
Civil
Early
War.
Republic.
Early Republic or Civil War? I think we have to check on that one because I think it's Civil War, they said.
I'll double check, but I'm 80% certain it's Early Republic.
It's going to be interesting. Yeah, that'll be interesting. All right. We'll see how that one goes.
Which means my some of my favorite mechs haven't even been invented yet. So,
well,
I have to change up my list.
Well, that means they can't take their list from Ill Clan too. So no big deal. No big deal. It's something that I mean, yours formations that you put together have always been very interesting to me, and I lost to you in that event in critical hits, and I did 3 and 2. Yeah, 3 wins, 2 losses, and my 3 wins were against people that one person brought way too many infantry units, like 8 on the battlefield at one time, and the other guy had nothing but mechs, so he was actually limited himself to 4 mechs every game that he was playing at. And then the other guy that I played was the guy with the Ares in his mix, and that's a beast of a mech, that tripod. Huge.
I've actually never played against an Ares yet.
Well, let's put it this way. Steven and I played against that guy, and we both had the same opinion that we were glad that we barely won our games. Because the Ares is probably one of the heaviest mechs on the battlefield that I've seen. And I know at LVO, there was a couple of people that took Ares.
There were. I didn't get matched against them. Me, Ronald, and Bradley all flew up, and we got matched against each other. So
yes,
half my games were people I played against a bunch.
And yes, you beat both of them.
Yes, I did.
Okay, that go figures.
Well, I mean, I played against him. I only lost 1 game, so unfortunately, someone had to win. Although,
someone had to win. Yeah,
Ronald was happy because he did Death from Above. I think it was my Fire Moth with a direwolf.
Oh, yeah. That I can see. That I can see him being happy about. Yeah, it's interesting, all the different play styles that the people have locally. When it came to that 350 format, the guys from Miami's had more of a run and gun type mindset. The people from Orlando had a more of a sit back and wait you to come to them, which worked against them in a couple of the different scenarios. And then we were all over the place here in Tampa. I mean, all over the place. Different mindsets completely. So, but I mean, I got to tell you, that is one of my 3 favorite formats that I've had. And then recently, the 2 of us have played a campaign game, which I owe you back when you build your mercenary force. I owe you a game back where I'm the op force for you, which I'm waiting for you on. But, and then I got to do the same thing for Connor because he's taking my second Ghost Spear mission. We'll be playing this Wednesday at Armada, which is going to be interesting. Going to be interesting. I'm going to try to do something funky to his force, but we'll see what happens. We're going to see what happens. I actually was expecting to, when we played against your Ghost Bears, I was expecting to be wiped off the map and have to restart all over again. So I already had built a list for that, but I didn't. I was able to survive.
You had a A lot of combat vehicles. I just couldn't shoot enough to take everything out.
Well, those combat vehicles were in there because I've gotten sick and tired of Bradley running over my forces, my mechs with combat vehicles. So I had to put equivalent combat vehicles. And for the game coming up, I've changed the SPAs to make it more compatible with those combat vehicles, giving the alicorns a lot more bite. Same damage, but a lot easier to hit targets. You can probably guess which one I chose, but let's not talk about it. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting. I mean, if I survive Connor's attack, I got a feeling he had the majority of his units at his starting point, and I got this feeling, just this little itty bitty itch that his 900 points are coming at me at one shot. That's going to be a bear.
That'll be a little bit harder to deal with than I threw. What, about 650 at you?
Yeah. We were a lot lower. But I was able to pick up a couple of items from you, and then I spent some of my cash to pick up a couple other units and add them to my force. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I've got a little bit more speed, a little more ECM. And, well, you know the mech I took. I got a hell of a lot more speed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I decided to take an elemental stand because I figured out of the 4 units that I took out, I should have had 5 surviving elementals. So I should be able to put 1 together. So I did. So now I have a delivery vehicle with that dasher to get those elementals and make them cause trouble. Lots of trouble. The only thing that I'm debating about is how this fight's going to happen, because Connor is very, 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 very aggressive at times, and that might work against me. But we'll see, because I'm also pretty aggressive when it comes to the campaign. So let's talk about where you come from, because that was your first time exposure about 3 years ago to BattleTech. That was in the middle, or just about, when the COVID was under control.
Yeah. So I think it was somewhere between 2 and 3 years ago. I just can't remember exactly how long, but so basically I had been playing 40K and X-Wing for close to a decade at this point, and Magic before that. But I kind of had gone off of 40K, and then COVID, like you said, we were just coming out of it, basically killed off the X-Wing sitting at critical hit. And I was looking at the Facebook page and saw you guys were meeting for BattleTech. And I had never actually seen it played. And all I remembered was my childhood playing Mech Warrior 2 with the...
Good God, how many of us started with that game?
Right?
Yeah.
And so I decided, what the hell, I'll head down to the shop. Just, check it out. I got there and you guys were playing your games. I said hi, basically said I was just there to look, and you had an uneven number of players. So Randall decided to
introduce
teach
you
me
properly.
the basics of Alpha Strike. And I just had a lot of fun. So I figured, okay, there's some people playing, so I'll pick up the starter set, maybe a few sets, and go from there.
The good thing about BattleTech for us is that we have 3, 5, 6, 7 stores within a county of wherever we live. I'm closest to Armada, but I can get to either Critical Hits or Warforge Warforge within 45 minutes. I can get to a couple up in the Port Richey area within an hour at worst. And I can get to Orlando if I ever decide to go out that way for a game. It'll take me an hour and a half. But, because Disney traffic. Oh, God, Disney traffic. Oof.
Oh, yeah.
I would have to go the night before and late night, so I get the Disney traffic in the other direction in order to make those games.
I
So
had
yeah,
I had intended to go the night before, and then some major emergency at work cut that plan off.
yeah. I'm just, it's one of the things we're doing with the Mobile Headquarters podcast that Randall, myself, Ron, and Bradley are on, is we're trying to build the get exposure out for Central Florida BattleTech players. So don't be surprised if we ask you to join us one of these days for that as well, besides this particular interview. And I want to thank you for coming along and coming on board. I'm going to keep this short because we're both busy. But I'm telling you, thank you again for being my opponent. Thank you for allowing me to go up against the Ghost Bears. I was actually surprised when I didn't see a Kodiak on the other side.
Yeah, like I said, I wasn't sure what to do, so I used the Mega Mech random assignment table, and that's what it gave me. But
Wow.
I should have used a Kodiak. Just
Well, I got a feeling I'll see.
stuff.
I got a feeling I'm going to see a Kodiak with
with Connor's Force.
Yeah. And it was interesting, but we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm like I said, I was ready to totally redo my force, new paint scheme and everything. If I would have been wiped out by your clan, but I'm ready to do that the same if Connor does that to me. Hell, I might play the Northwind Highlanders, as my mercenary company. If Bradley can play some Davion backwater, why can't I play mine?
Yeah.
And make him compelling. Really piss off Bradley.
Yeah, I'm putting my list together. I might hit you up in a few weeks for that.
Okay, good enough, man. And I appreciate it. Thank you much, guys. This is Jose Suarez signing off. Jonathan, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Folks, I'm going to try to get some other people to interview on here for these games. So we'll see what happens. I want to do everybody that's part of that picture to begin with before I go off and start doing other people that were not part of the picture. And again, Jonathan, thank you for coming. And have a good night, folks.